You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Arrow After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Arrow After Show.
Hey! Happy holidays, everyone. We're here for the Arrow After Show, Season 1, Episode 9, the mid-season finale. Sad Christmas. Year's
sad.
end.
No, Christmas is not sad.
Christmas is not sad, but it's sad that we're going to take a few weeks off.
Yeah, it's a pretty long break. It definitely is.
January 16th. I marked the date. Can't wait. I am Kaori Takee, and I'm joined with...
Hi, everybody. I'm Alikona Bradford. It is my first week here with Arrow. I've been on AfterBuzz, but I've been away, so I'm so excited to be back finally, and I get to discuss this great show. So thanks for having me.
And I'm Kellie. Welcome. We missed you the last few shows, so I'm glad you can be here and join in our discussion.
Yes.
We can get some more opinions, so it's going to be good. This is a good episode today.
This is a really good episode, especially the ending. But
well, one thing I'm surprised about is how it wasn't, how the end was. It was just kind of, it was like an ending, which you usually don't get in a season finale.
Really?
But,
I don't know. I felt...
as far as like, somebody's not hanging off a ledge and you don't know what happened. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
I kind of felt that way, though. I kind of felt like there was a cliffhanger. Like I wanted more, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I was kind of... I think, for anybody who follows the story probably knows a little bit of what's about to happen anyways. It's just the way the CW chooses to share that story. But as far as going into it, and then the last thing being that the mother really is responsible for everything that just happened, you're like, what kind of mom? And then the show's over. No.
Well, here's the thing. Like, she did mention in the first episode that she was accomplice to the murder, but now we find out she was, part of the kidnapping and all that stuff.
Yeah, because they alluded in the very beginning that she was part of it, so we've always known she was part of it. So I guess that's just why, don't get me wrong, I liked it. I'm not disappointed. It just, it was actually a little nicer because it seemed a little settled, like we know what his next mission is. It's not like you know what I mean? We kind of got some revelations here, and now we're excited to see what's going to happen. That's just my opinion. That's kind of what I think.
What about Walter? Now he's like kind of in a cliffhanger, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, he's going to be locked away for 6 months. So that's and that brings us to like his relationship with Moira. It's like it's such a weird dynamic between the two of them.
Chemistry is off to me. Like something, and I don't know if it's the chemistry between the actors per se, but something about them just is awkward. I don't know.
Well, I always wonder. Yeah, I always wondered if it was she was with him for some kind of purpose, some kind of gain. But when they, we found on the last episode that he realized that she's still lying. There's this whole book that he found, this list of names. He doesn't really know what's going on, so he's kind of, being nosy, start researching, and that's never a good thing when you're dealing with dangerous, murderous people.
Right.
So we kind of figure something's gonna happen. We're sitting there watching and we're like, oh, he's so dead. But it just, she says that he was her salvation, which I thought was so interesting because I don't feel that.
No, not at all. Not at all. Almost like his innocence to the whole situation brought her light, but I don't see him as a very lightful character.
No, and it's weird. He was best friends with her husband.
But that's twice. Okay, that's twice in the show they do that between the husband and that, and then you have Tommy, who's over here with Laurel, which is awkward. And then
I didn't even draw that parallel. But
well, it's kind of 3 because also Diggle and his brother's wife.
Yes,
that's
soon to make it happen.
Intertwining of sharing partners. Apparently, Sterling City is very small.
It's a very small town. You only stick with your one main group. You don't branch out.
So like talking about this relationship between Walter and Moira, don't you guys, now like we've seen all this stuff happening, don't you guys think it's so weird? Like, why did she have a relationship with her husband's best friend who she...
Business deal?
Yeah.
That's what it feels.
It feels
that's
like,
what
right?
I always thought that it was, but now after what she's saying, is it really supposed to be real? Is she really in love with him? Because she says.
Well, I don't know. Salvation doesn't mean that you love the person. It just means that you feel safe around them, right?
Yeah, but it's just, if he's not, I mean, he's clearly not part of the plan.
No.
So was he part of her leverage thing too? Because when they, when they get into it, she talks about doing all of these bad things and being involved with these people for leverage. Well, what does that necessarily mean? Is he included in that?
Well, to say, but mind you also, too, from his benefit, after his best friend dies, guess who gets to take over as standing head of the company?
Yeah, but he seems a little, and I don't know, I could be totally wrong. He seems a little bit more genuine than she does. Because he's really trying to figure out what's going on. He's nice to the kids. He's kind of does the family thing. And...
Well,
I don't know.
This is what I think. I think that if Moira really had true feelings for him, why would she involve him in the situation? She even, like, at the end of the episode, willingly gave him away. Like, for 6 months, as long as you don't kill him, you go ahead and take him away.
She had her son kidnapped.
That's what I was just going to say, but as a mom, who does that?
Yeah, there's something wrong with her. She's got tons of skeletons in her closet. Right.
Well, she's definitely a let's look out for number one.
Oh, of course.
You know, her children don't even trump that.
No. Yeah,
so,
no.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's her kind of love. Maybe that's how she loves people. She, gives them...
Just have him kidnapped.
Just, he doesn't know anything. Torture him. You'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, kill my husband.
Just knock him out and put him away for a while till we can, settle this thing.
I would say, speaking of torture, though, we actually got to hear a little bit more throughout his flashbacks of what exactly this island was. Like, they directly said, from what I gathered, and so much is going on, I could have missed something, but it was a former penitentiary that, the funds got cut off or something?
Yeah, the Chinese government had made it a prison for criminals that were just way too dangerous to be in normal prison population. And then, I guess when the government didn't want to pay for it anymore, they sent in this crew to dispose of these, criminals, and only 2 survived, which was the archer that taught Oliver how, all of his skills, and then also Deathstroke.
Yeah.
We find out was the other one who, tortured him in the beginning.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of the island coming up.
Yeah,
definitely.
which I like. I like
Me
to
too.
see, those back and forths about, what he went through and the people that he encountered. And as it goes back, and then we find out that his mother put him in that situation.
Right.
How horrible.
So that basically means that she also knew he'd be coming back in 5 years?
Or that he'd come back eventually.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Right.
she
But
didn't think he was coming back.
Well, I said, do we
That's
know
the
who
thing.
brought him back? Because we know that the Englishman, we said, had the power to bring him back, or at least that's what Yao Fei was telling him, that someone had the power to bring him back. Do we know if he indeed was the person that brought him back?
If you remember in the pilot episode, he sees a ship coming in, and so he lights, shoots an arrow and lights like an SOS bonfire, and they come and get him.
Gotcha.
So he doesn't leave on the plane. So I'm just wondering, like, what happens, because we're left with in that flashback that it was a trap for what was his name, Yao Fei?
Yeah.
And he gets captured as of then, and then Oliver's running away because he doesn't seem to have any skills yet to defend himself, so he runs away. So that's where we're left.
Right.
So I wonder kind of what ensued after that to lead him to, because even in the pilot, like when he gets rescued, his hair is like crazy long and it's not yet.
Yeah.
So he's obviously there for
a while.
an
Yeah, he's
extended
there for a
amount of
while.
time.
Right. Well, you know what I'm wondering too, and this is not to be like a spoiler or anything like that, but I know that Yao Fei has a daughter that they're casting for her right now. So I'm wondering if maybe she comes in and she's the one who teaches him. I don't know. Forgive me.
I don't know. I don't think so. That'd be crazy.
I mean, it would definitely be a different twist. And as we can see from this series, they're not following the comic book, that to the T.
Right.
They're changing characters around, kind of doubling them up, and changing genders and things like that. So maybe.
Which is either good or bad, because it's either gonna give people a twist and make it more interesting for them, or at the same time it's going to tick some people off who are serious hardcore fans.
Right.
It might mean that the casting his daughter, it might mean that might be a backstory. There might be a backstory in him. So that would be interesting.
Of how
maybe
he's a great
he became
character. That criminal.
Yeah, exactly.
You
He was also like, seems to me like he's kind of like the CW's version of the original Arrow, just because he's wearing that like Robin Hoodish outfit as well.
Well, and he's called out as he was on that island, so he obviously murdered people, was dangerous. A prisoner there and very dangerous. So maybe we'll find out how he got to be there, and maybe he was, like you said, a vigilante in his own right, trying to do for the greater good, and got. He doesn't seem like a bad guy. How he's helping Oliver, keeping him alive, and all of that, and went and rescued him. So he can't be that evil,
right?
So I don't know.
What do you guys think about the relationships in this also Tommy and Laurel's relationship developing?
I think that they are, with a P, pucked up. Because I understand that when somebody dies, eventually you move on. To date his best friend, kind of weird, but then when he comes back, you don't maybe necessarily have to tiptoe around him, but to parade around and go to his Christmas party in his home with his ex-girlfriend.
But he was. His best friend. But he was
still. Yeah, exactly. My point.
Hold up, ladies, because Oliver was having Nookie with Sarah, which is that's like the ultimate no-no.
Yeah.
Is like
a part of me
sister
thinks
romance.
That Laurel's doing it because of that. That it's that it's subconsciously that it's kind of like, I ran to this person because I needed comfort. It was the only one there, and now at this point you're back. How does it feel? This is basically what you, and I don't think outright maliciously, but I think maybe somewhere in the back of her mind, she obviously doesn't really like him. That's so evident.
You guys think so?
I think he was a space filler and a time,
Well, I mean, it started off at the beginning of the series. They were just sleeping together.
Yeah.
And then he's the one who wanted to take it a step further, and she's like, okay,
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
Let's see where this goes.
Well, Oliver and Laurel, they're meant to be together, obviously. They're just making circles around the inevitable. It's gonna happen.
Right. Well, the thing is when she had a conversation with Tommy, and he's like, something's holding you back, and blah blah blah. In his mind, I'm sure he thinks it's some sort of emotional defensive mechanism. Right. But really, I'm watching it going, yeah, duh, it's Oliver.
Well,
she's still in love with
him.
And
if she sits there and she can tell it to his face, like, it's you, she's basically saying, I'm still in love with you. So I don't know what's the holdup.
They'll be together. Don't worry.
Well, I mean, she has to work through a lot of the issues about that, because she really didn't get to be angry about the affair because her sister died. So how are you going to be mad at your sister when, you know what I mean? Like, that's such a horrible position to be in, because on one instance you just got betrayed by your sister and your boyfriend that you're in love with, and you have to deal with the fact that as she's having this fling, she ends up dead. Like, that sucks.
Right, but it's been 5 years, and I'm not trying to be, a dick or a jerk, but it's been 5 years. You see someone who you were in love with who you thought was dead. I mean, that is like one saving grace,
Well, yeah, all of a sudden, it's like those 5 years never happened. It brings you right back to the way you felt the last time you saw them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's.
I just think she has a lot of mixed emotions to deal with.
Absolutely. And I think she's just kind of passing the time with Tommy.
And I feel really bad for Tommy because he's head over heels over her.
But he needs to, he needs to stop going after, he needs to have his own life. Like, why does he have to have everything Oliver has?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So
let's start talking about Tommy. Let's start talking about Tommy's dad, because we got to see a little bit more of him as well, too, and who he really is.
Yes.
He's hot.
He is pretty hot.
Thank you.
I think he's pretty hot.
I think he's pretty cute, too. He's fly.
Yes. You don't think he's hot? In his suit and all evil and stuff?
Well, evil's never really been my thing.
He's like a good-looking...
I don't know, but he's like a good-looking...
he's handsome.
Man. Yeah, I think he's handsome. Yeah.
I'll give him that.
And his little evil streak kind of makes him a little hotter.
Yeah. I think that's what it is, like the evil character is always fun to watch.
Because he's so evil in such a very polite way. And that's what I think is pretty interesting about the way he plays that character, because he can say some really horrible things with a big fat smile on his face.
So suave.
And just very kind of,
He's the hardest one to read of all the characters too. You know, I think I want to know so much more about him than they're exposing already.
Right. And we, you know, obviously he doesn't even have a real relationship with Tommy. He cuts him off, kind of disposes of him.
Right.
So these parents are all horrible.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, they're not
really
really
a bad name for rich parents everywhere.
And no wonder their kids are, you know, like Speedy's doing drugs and, you know, the other one's a vigilante and this one can't hold a job.
Right.
Has to go ask his best friend for a job. He has no idea how to do anything.
Right. Well, Laurel's dad is a good guy, Officer Lance.
Yeah.
Clinton, yes.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, I appreciate the fact that I like the fact during this episode how he recognized right away that there was an imposter.
Yeah.
You know, because he's not exactly Team Green Arrow.
But he's a good man, an honest man.
And so he's like, well, you know what, it is an imposter. Dang it. You know?
Yeah, and he even like lost his job because he refused to lie.
Yeah, which I like that.
High five. Yeah. And I was kind of sad that Tommy took Laurel away from him for the holidays.
Yes, yeah,
I don't know.
That you know, because he does have a hard time, you know, but I get it that they shouldn't just be depressed every year for Christmas.
Why couldn't he go along?
You know, well, yeah,
that's true. He should have invited. How are you gonna leave him all by himself?
Yeah.
Well, remember, he's always, you know, been kind of attacking the family, so you know, Oliver's mom doesn't necessarily want him around when every 5 minutes he's trying to arrest Oliver.
That's true. Good point.
So it's kind of like a very awkward.
I mean, if you can bring
situation.
your ex-girlfriend that you're now dating over, I guess it doesn't hurt to bring her dad too. So I mean, it's a whole medley of mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Merlyn though and Tommy, what do you guys think? And I'm not trying to predict or anything, but what do you guys think is in store for them? Because I know one of them is going to be the arch enemy. Do you think that there's going to be a twist and maybe it'll turn into Tommy over some sort of jealousy thing, or if it's going to stay with the dad?
I think I'm kind of hoping it kind of evolves and it's both of them. I would like to see that, how it starts out with the dad and then something happens, because we know Deathstroke is coming. That's not a secret.
Yeah.
So we know he's, you know, been cast. He's coming, and it's the guy from Spartacus, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It's gonna rock. So we know that that's gonna happen. So I think, I mean, and the dad is, you know, he's just took a beating, you know, from Oliver. So,
well,
you know,
but not before lashing out a few on him.
Well,
like, he's
right,
pretty good.
but he's still, you know, and Oliver's in really great shape. The dad is, you know, Merlyn is quick and fast and all of that, but he's a little bit older, so I wonder how long he can kind of keep up with that.
I think he's going to be the man, you know, just like when you watch Spider-Man and the father is actually the man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I would like to see it start out that way and then kind of evolve down where Tommy kind of turns and takes over.
What if it becomes a twist where Tommy ends up saying, hey, my dad's an asshole. I am going to be good and be on his side, on the other guy's side.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. But
I don't know.
I
know that sounds hard.
I see him turning bad because I think he's just got some hidden jealousy with the stuff with Laurel, with his success, him having his money and doing things on his own. I think there's going to be that underlying jealousy that you just can't shake.
I see that too, but I'm just hoping for the best for him because right now he's such a good guy and he's like getting his his heart beaten by Laurel.
I mean, he's trying.
But what would you do if you got into the position where you think you're going to get the girl and then come to find out she goes back to the best friend who maybe he's been envious his whole life?
I don't know. I probably would not even have tried to get myself involved, you know what I mean, in the first place with my best friend's ex.
That's true.
That's just, you know. She's mourning. It's not like it's perfect time to like wham bam.
Apparently it is for everybody on this show.
Yeah.
They like, you know, it's like when, you know, you're in distress, the other one, you know, best friend swoops in or the brother swoops in, takes over and takes care of you, and then inevitably you fall in love.
Yes.
Wow.
Know?
Well, there's another relationship that we saw was the introduction of Shane with Thea.
Yeah, I don't really think that. I think that was probably all we're pretty much going to see of Shane.
I think there's going to be more.
He's turning into somebody.
No,
he's going to be
that little goofy kid?
Yeah, he's see, I don't know if I should be like telling you guys these things, but it's just something I read, so I could be wrong. But you know her nickname is Speedy.
Yeah.
And there is a character that is the Red Arrow, I believe.
Yeah, but that's not played by him.
No, but it's something intertwined where he adapts to the name Speedy and becomes somebody.
Right, but it wasn't Shane.
It's not him?
I thought it was too. It's not Shane. The character's name that comes into that is Roy Harper. It's not Shane. So that's I was confused about that too. But I had to double check it right before.
So what?
It's not.
So I mean, my take about making this important. I mean, my take on the importance of Shane in this episode is to show that Speedy is actually like.
She's a little rebel.
Not the same person, like not the innocent girl that Oliver
she practically wore lingerie to the Christmas party.
She was wearing lingerie.
Did you guys? She was. I know she's a little taller than her mom, but Mom's dress is down to here, and then her dress was like this much shorter.
I don't know.
I thought it was lingerie.
I think it was. I think I saw some bra snippets and lace on the side. That's exactly what it was.
You don't wear that to a Christmas party?
What, isn't she supposed to be like 17?
I don't make out with men.
I wear that all the time.
I don't make out with men in my room when my parents are downstairs with tons of other adults.
I know. How awkward, especially when I know my brother's nuts. I mean, come on.
I know, right? So.
But I mean, I think you're right. I think it does show a different kind of rebellion from her, which will hopefully lead into whatever revolution she's going to go through.
Yeah, it's not just the drugs now; it's also sexual tendencies, and she's going to.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, she just wants attention. And even though her brother's back and all of that, his mind is somewhere else.
Right.
You know, her mom is plotting all of these evil things, and she kind of gets left behind.
It just feels like she's bipolar.
Well, but you got to think about it. She's been the one that's been left behind. Her brother and father go missing. Her mother turns to the best friend, doesn't really console her. So she's off, you know, getting into drugs and partying, doing whatever she's doing to try to just get through it herself. She didn't really have anybody that we can see. You know, and that's why she latched onto Tommy, I think, and, you know, how she had that infatuation with him. And all these things that she's gone through kind of by herself. And now her brother's back and she wants him to be her brother, but he's not. He's different. And that's kind of what we heard the conversation between the two of them toward the end is, you know, we're not the same people. Let's accept each other for who we are and try to move on from this. And I think that's why she's so kind of nuts is because, I mean, can you imagine like going through all of those things like by yourself when nobody wants to pay attention to you because they're so wrapped up in themselves?
I mean, at the end of the day, though, for me, I feel like it's the same song with her. Every time she has a heart-to-heart with Oliver, it's always the same issue. With
God forbid her dad gets murdered.
Yeah, I mean, true. Yeah. Well,
okay, yeah, she's a crybaby. Get over it already.
She is, though. But anyways, thank you guys so much for always listening to us. I just want to give a big shout-out to iTunes and... you know, we have our fan, Loki. We want to give a big shout out to him because he wrote a big commentary, and that was really cool and all the insights. So please follow us on iTunes as well as YouTube. And tell a friend, one a day.
Comment, rate us.
Yes, download
As you said, we love your comments.
It's free. Yes. Right now, we're in the top 5 of the after shows here in AfterBuzz. Yes. So let's keep it that way, guys. And, you know, also, I'm tweeting while we're doing this, and at Danger Shoes is tweeting with me, so I'm reading them. I see you. I see you. So
we listen.
We're tweeting back, but we love to hear your thoughts and your theories and all of that, and the correlation between the different comic book series. So please definitely rate, comment, and tell us what you think.
Yes, please rate and tell a friend.
There's so many different versions of the story.
There's so many different versions, so many different.
You can always call in too. We do have a number where you can call in.
Yeah, we do actually.
Marissa,
what is the number to the studio? We are in Studio B.
Yes.
It is 424-256-1633.
There you go.
Yes. All right. So. Let's move on more about the holiday parties.
So lingerie at the holiday party. Check. We talked about that.
Yes. Because Oliver feels and he realizes that for the past 5 years they were mourning and they decided not to have a party when he's used to having this huge extravagant party because his dad Robert used to make Christmas trees everywhere in the house.
Right. I was watching that one part and how he was describing the whole house smelled like Christmas because we had a tree in every room of the mansion, and I just want to be like, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I had. Yeah, in the mansion.
Excuse
all
me.
20 bedrooms. There was a Christmas tree.
All had a Christmas tree. Why are there no holiday decorations in this house?
I know. It's preposterous.
But, you know, he went 5 years with not knowing what day it is, just trying to stay alive every day. So I think a big part of him that he struggles with is he does want to just be normal and come back to that family unit and have a little bit of normalcy in his life. And I think that's what he was trying to do here.
clearly impossible.
Yeah,
But,
well, of course, you know.
Well, I was just saying, like his sister said, though, within 5 years, things change. And how awkward to be in his position to come back and people have evolved 5 years.
Yeah.
And they're totally different people. Again, coming to a whole new family, a whole new dad that's not your dad, and just everything. That's
well, yeah, everybody's different. Because it's kind of like time stood still for him a little bit.
Right.
And when he came in, you know, everybody else moved on.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Everybody's different.
So at the holiday party, you know, Moira and Walter confront each other. And it gets a little scary because right when she tells him that after the party she'll tell him everything, you and I were like, oh, he's getting it.
Yeah, he's done.
He's getting it.
He's done. Poor Walter. He shouldn't have been going to Felicity and nosing around into
But
things
you
he
would
had no
too,
business.
though,
Well,
if you were in that position. I mean, for me, if I was in that position, but I would be thinking more along the lines, is she having an affair, or what is she doing?
Right.
She's embezzling money, something's going on. I would look into it too. Because then, same thing, the person that you marry is not who you think they are.
But it's just bad news bears not to trust the person that you're married to.
Well, you should have got a divorce a long time ago.
I know. I mean, good thing he runs a company, but I mean, clearly this woman's up to no good.
But does he?
I think.
But I mean, I think on paper he does. He goes to the office every day, but does he really? Or is he kind of like a puppet, just kind of doing the day-to-day things? Because if she can just send him away for 6 months, how important could he possibly be?
That's a good point, but
You
I mean,
know?
there's always holes in these kind of series. So
I'm wondering how much. I think he thinks he does, but I wonder how much he really does control.
Right.
You know, I think she seems to be a lot more manipulative and thing that even I thought she was. So there's some other underlying things going on that she has control in, or maybe Merlyn does that he's not aware of.
Let's talk about the associate that her and Merlyn decided to hire to create all the chaos that was going on tonight.
Well, you know, I don't think she even knew exactly who it was.
Oh, I don't think so either.
No, I don't think. Yeah, but it was this, you know, what the dark arrow,
the dark hood, the dark arrow.
Yeah, the dark hood. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is that what they're calling him? The dark archer. My bad. The dark archer.
Just the bigger archer.
Yeah.
Right.
the black hoodie, not the green one.
Yeah. Right.
But no, the dark archer kind of comes in and is basically a copycat.
Right.
Yeah.
And they are killing, or he's killing
people on the list.
The first few people that Oliver, you know, the Arrow took out on the list. But he doesn't, you know, as we know, the Arrow doesn't kill anybody. Right. He just, you know, wants them to do right. And he kind of, you know, stop doing criminal things and I'm going to scare you to pieces. And that's it. But this Arrow is going back and actually killing the people.
Right.
And you know, you made a good point earlier. Like the detective, you know, or Sergeant Lance knew right away that it was a copycat.
Yeah.
And, you know, didn't blame, you know, Arrow right away.
Yeah, and I was getting mad at his boss, though, for just threatening him. You know, I don't care who you catch.
Yeah.
Catch somebody, make it happen now.
Since when did they get so sneaky? And for a second, I thought maybe the commander-in-chief is actually the Arrow, but that's a
Well, I thought maybe
stretch,
he was, like,
you know?
in on it, though.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of knew what was going on, so let's blame it on this. Like I said, they're all at this dinner table together at the holiday party, and then, you know, the police commissioner? Is that who it was?
Yes.
That he gets called away because, you know, the vigilante struck again, and after he told him catch one of them, I don't care which one it is. I was wondering, well, is he kind of in on all of that?
See, I just realized something because Daddy Merlyn was also at the dinner table when the guy struck, so he might not be the only Black Arrow guy.
Well, see, I think the first one was Deathstroke. That's who I thought it was, because if you notice, when you see the profile, it looked like he had a full mask on.
Yeah. I thought so too.
Not like in the end when you could see his eyes.
Yeah.
I think Daddy Merlyn came in at the end because he wanted to know who the Green Arrow is.
Right.
But I think he still speculates Oliver because of that banter that they had at the table. Because, you know, he made a point to the police commissioner, you know, crime is down, you know, for the first time in 5 years. You know, what do you think of this guy, Oliver? What's your take on this? And he makes a joke about his name, but he kind of gives him this look like
he gives him the name.
Yeah, he
actually gives him.
He gives him the name.
Yeah.
And you know, to be honest, I was getting tired of hearing the word vigilante.
Yeah.
Can you guys come up with something
I can go with Green Arrow, like the color green.
Yeah.
Yes. So they have that, but he just kind of, at least to me, I took it as he kind of looked at him in this very skeptical way, and then right after the policeman gets called away, his phone rings and he has to leave. It was very coincidental. Yeah. So I think he still suspects that Oliver has something to do with it.
He's someone definitely to be afraid of because he is killing the people that didn't die.
Right. Who knew old guy had such great aim?
He doesn't care.
Well, we knew he was a fencer, so
you're right.
You know those old school sports that people used to play because we saw him fencing, so archery is not that far behind.
Right.
So.
But I was a little bit surprised how much Oliver got his butt kicked.
Yeah.
He did. I was surprised he survived, or like when he was in the hospital, he wasn't that bad. I mean, he got shot through in the back twice, and I'm like, why didn't it go through?
Well, when they talked about the arrows too, and I'm wondering if the arrows were different this time.
Right.
Because when he talked about the arrow and he went to Felicity to have the arrow tracked, he talked about the kind of arrow that it was, the kind of blade that it had, that it was bone splitting.
Yeah.
So I wonder if because I think that we may be right that the archers switched.
That's the only way, right?
Maybe the arrows switched too, because how would he have survived 3 in the back if they were those specific arrows?
Maybe he did switch him out and it was just a warning. Maybe he didn't want Oliver or the Green Arrow to die per se, but he was just giving him a real good warning.
I think he wanted him dead, though.
Well, he wanted to see who it was. He wants to get rid of him.
That's true.
He doesn't want him messing up his stuff.
But that was it was his curiosity that saved Oliver.
Right.
Because if he just killed him first and then opened it, then maybe Oliver would have died. But that was like Oliver's opening to be like, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah. So he stabs him in the leg and takes off.
And then it's Daddy Merlyn.
Yeah. And Diggle comes and saves him. He calls for help.
Yeah, I see. It's funny because sometimes when I see the Green Arrow and I know he has no accomplice as of now, and I'm thinking, man, what's Diggle there for? You need a backup.
Yeah.
Well, he's
maybe
waiting in the wings.
Further get trained.
Yeah.
I mean, but he was a fake arrow for a good 15 minutes, so.
yeah. But he was waiting in the wings. He came and, patched him up and took care of him. And that's when we see that, the archer was, Tommy's dad. And it's just like, dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
What is that all about? Especially because of that whole conversation he had with Moira about, do I need to call our associate?
Yeah.
To basically take care of Walter. So there had to be 2, right?
Or he could be talking about himself. But I mean,
well, because he was sitting at the table when the other guy got killed, there has to be 2.
Exactly.
Or he just doesn't want Moira to know that it's him. So obviously you're going to talk in third person, if you will, and be like, oh yeah, we'll call our associate.
Well, I just
AKA me.
But there's got to be more than one.
Yeah, it still doesn't explain how he was at the dinner table too. So if he and Oliver were both at the dinner table, neither one of them could have murdered Hunt.
Do you guys think that Moira's in danger with Daddy Merlyn? I think that she's losing control completely, and obviously is getting her husband taken away, and Merlyn does not give a rat's ass about her son dying. So what do you think's at stake for Moira?
Well, no, I definitely think that she's in a certain amount of danger. As far as death, I don't really think we're at that point yet. Because I think I think he needs her around for some reason, and I just don't think we know what that is.
Yeah, I have no idea what use she has other than she's part of this danger group.
Yeah, but see, I want to know why she got involved in the first place.
Yeah.
Right.
What was it that made it so alluring that she got herself involved? Because obviously it's not a good thing.
Well, because, we know that her husband was involved too, but obviously they weren't on the same team if she was involved in having him murdered.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. Maybe we'll find out that Robert actually realized what was going on. He wanted to save the city, and that's when she was like, okay, well, then I got to kill you.
Right.
And, Robert wanted her to finish.
I think he always knew, because that's how he explained it to Oliver, but I guess he had a change of heart, I guess. And maybe his conscience kind of came and,
Yeah, that's the thing. I think I'm speculating that he had a change of heart, and then he took Oliver on the trip, wanted to tell Oliver, but then he, then that whole thing happens. He told Oliver anyway, and instead of carrying it out together.
Well, maybe that's when he realized that they were murdered. They were out to murder him.
So
so he just killed himself anyway and was like, "You have to survive this."
But what's the point of having the sister go with them too and have her killed?
Well, yeah. I mean,
it was just an innocent bystander.
I think she was an innocent bystander. I don't think that he realized that he was I don't think Richard realized that they were out to kill him until the accident happened. And then when they were on this life raft, I think maybe that's when it all kind of hit him, and then that's when he started like telling Oliver what he wanted him to do and all of that. That's just my thoughts on it.
I don't think that he intended to have Oliver do it. I think Robert was maybe the one that was going to be the Arrow, and then he's like, bullshit, I'm going to die, so let's give Oliver, like, all the information so he can carry on
that's
the
what
thing
that's what I mean. That I think that that's what all of that happened while they were on that life raft. Like, after the accident already happened is when they realized.
So you thought his dad was going to try to be the Arrow?
I don't know. I mean, it's a possibility. All I think is that Robert was done with being bad and he wanted to make things right.
Maybe not the Arrow necessarily, but because that all happened for him being on that island.
He just wanted to make things right. And everyone knew, and so Moira had to like kill him off. So I can't even imagine what kind of city Starling is going to be if Merlyn succeeds.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what he has in store, but obviously it's not a good one.
Well, we definitely need the Green Arrow to get a sidekick and quickly.
Yeah.
Because there is too much going on that he definitely needs some help.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah.
He will.
So we need to. I want to see that in like the first episode when we come back.
Yeah.
I think Laurel is going to get a little bit more involved, and I think she's eventually going to figure out who he is because there's going to be communication between her and the Arrow, and it's funny because there's going to be a different dynamic between her having a relationship with Oliver and then her having a relationship with the Arrow, and not realizing also that they are the same person, and at some point it's going to flip around too because of the fact that it's her job to fight criminals, and at one point she might be hunting down somebody that's really someone she doesn't I probably just made a whole confusing statement, but what I mean is like eventually I think she's going to get put in the position, and this is just based off of stuff that I've read, but she's going to get put in the position where she's hunting down, let's say, the Arrow per se, not even realizing that it is Oliver, and asking him for help or what have you, or vice versa.
Well, here's a stretch. Wouldn't it be amazing if she became the Black Canary first?
That's what I've been reading too.
She becomes first, and then she reaches out to Green Arrow for help, and then they're like, oh, wait a minute, I love you.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean that would be too quick for that relationship to happen. So you know that just because we need that sexual tension between them, they've got to stretch that.
Do you think she's gonna reveal herself as Black Canary by season's end?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
I think they would need to.
Or at least it'll be the cliffhanger at the season finale.
Yeah. Or maybe at least to the audience, like we'll know that, but maybe he won't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I hope so anyway.
Yeah.
I would hate for it to, be a whole other season before we, get to see that.
Right.
But hopefully that'll work.
I don't think they would do that to people.
I hope not.
So you guys got some news and gossip?
Yeah.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So as we talked about, the Red Arrow coming in, Us Weekly and The Hollywood Reporter have reported that they had cast Teen Wolf star Colton Hayes. He is coming on the show as Roy Harper, who is said to eventually turn into, the speedy Red Arrow character. But his character on this show is going to be the love interest for Thea, for Speedy.
Okay.
So I'm wondering how that's going to work since her nickname is Speedy, but he's, but he's going to really kind of go after her and, become friends with Oliver and become his sidekick apparently.
Yeah. I like we had that discussion on the walk up here that maybe there's going to be two Speedies.
I mean,
right?
maybe they're, going to make them a team or something, because we had talked about, is she going to be the Speedy since that was her nickname, and they kind of threw us off with that. Maybe somehow they'll incorporate her into that.
I mean, the thing is, like, in the comic book version, there's a female Speedy who used to be a prostitute.
Her being loose with the boys.
Yeah,
lingerie at the holiday party.
And then there's the male Speedy, and who ends up,
So maybe they do a little bit of both.
That's what I'm thinking.
And,
that'd be great.
Gonna be a crime-fighting couple. That could be really cool.
I mean, he can use the help because obviously they're not wanting Diggle to do much other than stay in the back and be his conscience.
Poor Diggle.
Poor Diggle. He's more play.
I know he does. Like, I want to see what's gonna happen with him and his sister-in-law.
I know.
Do you think that they're gonna get together?
I mean, it's so obvious.
It could be one of those things. They
just like doing shady stuff on this show, don't they?
They just like that love triangle stuff.
Yeah. Too many triangles.
Yeah.
Speaking of casting, there's another casting that I wanted to talk about. Janina Gavin Carr. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Has been casted for the reoccurring role as Vice Cop Makina Hall, who is also potentially going to create a little bit of either trouble or she's from Oliver's past. They already know each other. So it's kind of up in the air as to whether or not she's going to be helping or in the way.
Well, yeah, because they used to have a fling or something. Is what I read. They had a thing, and it's going to cause a rift between Laurel and Oliver, even a little bit more. As much as Laurel's trying to fight this whole being in love with Oliver situation.
Well, a lot of the spoilers that I'm reading is that basically they're throwing in a lot of things and people that are going to cause conflict. So I think they want that drift for us to like want more of the unification of Black Canary and Arrow. So.
All right, let's see if I can find anything else that's really good. I pulled up an interview with the Hollywood Reporter, and they interviewed one of the producers. So that's where I've gotten a lot of my insight from.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many interviews out there with the different characters. John Barrowman also talks about, you know, being the Dark Archer and, you know, kind of his role and all of that. And, you know, he... we're going to see a lot more of him and his evil ways, so I'm really, really excited for that. And going back to Colton Haynes and his Roy Harper character, I think, I guess the sidekick known as Speedy first appeared in 1941's More Fun comics. And more recently, he was in the League of America, where he was known as the Red Arrow. Yeah. And he was a teen. You know, he was a teen in the comic books. So I really do hope to see them kind of come together and be a team, like he and Speedy. Yeah. Or he and Thea kind of come together and do that.
I think he would probably come on his own before Thea does, though.
Yeah, because they're not really saying what his special powers are going to be or what he's going to do or anything like that yet. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to seeing that. So
I have a bit of random news and gossip, and it's irrelevant to the show, but more so about the actor, Steven. And I don't know if you guys maybe brought this up before in past episodes, but as far as him, you know, he used to be a instructor for cycling at the gym, spin instructor, and he was just talking about how lately he's been getting a lot of Facebook comments from people that used to take his class.
Oh, really?
He was our instructor. I think that's so cool. I don't know, to me that just makes him so much more human as an actor. But anyways, as far as my news and gossip, something he also interviewed and said is being involved with this show, he's gotten to really like archery, and when the show is over, he actually wants to compete as an archer professionally as well too. I thought that was kind of cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, because he went through some intense training and all that to really learn how to do all this stuff to make everything look real, because this is a multi-camera show.
Yeah. Right.
So all the different angles and everything, and you know, I'm sure he has stunt people too, but you know, he really wanted to make it authentic and, you know, really get into it, which is really cool.
I've seen a lot of interviews with him, and I think he just seems like such a good guy. He really does.
Like just such a guy, like a normal guy, like not,
like,
you know.
Do we know if he's single?
I think he is.
Yeah, he's single. Never mind. They did ask him if he had a life, and he said, "My life is the show."
So he is single. But you know what's funny and totally off topic, but also one of the characters on New Girl was a spin instructor here in LA.
Really?
Schmidt. He used to teach at a spin place here with one of my friends, which is just random. Apparently, if you're a spin instructor, you can become like an all-star.
Props to them, because I hate spinning.
I've never been. I really want to go. I love to work out.
It's great.
Okay, you want to go spinning? You go with Kellie.
You guys ready to do predictions?
So yeah.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions
And suspicions.
Oh, am I going first?
Well, we're all looking at him. I feel like I've casted my predictions throughout talking about this show as far as where I think.
What do you guys think is going to happen to Felicity Smoke? I know you're not fond of her.
You know, that was actually Kellie that was not so fond of her. Wasn't that you?
Yes, I don't really like her, and I kind of...
she's going to be somebody.
I don't want her to.
You know what, though? I feel like she's going to find out all this information, and that possibly, I don't know if she'll get greedy, but for some reason, I don't see her being on team good guys. I see her somehow getting corrupt and falling into the bad guys. I don't know why.
Well, I think she's going to get a little too nosy, because we've already seen that happen a little bit. So I think maybe that's what's going to get her in trouble, and she seems like she's one to do whatever it takes to survive. So maybe that'll kind of be what happens.
Do you think that in the CW version that Felicity Smoke has this huge crush on Oliver, and then that she also may be an obstacle that Oliver and Laurel will have to go through, because you can tell she has like a little touch for it.
I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, really, like the hot guy comes in and talks to you so randomly every other.
Why is she always in the office? It's like Christmas Day and she's like researching stuff.
I know, and it's like midnight. It's like super dark.
You know what though? Okay, going back to my prediction though. Piece of dust. Going back to my prediction, when Oliver hands her the arrow, she gets this sparkle in her eye. Did anybody catch that? She's like,
but it wasn't really him. It was like
the arrow.
Yeah,
the arrow.
So I mean, everybody.
What if she was the associate? I mean, I'm really.
She can't be. No. She can't be.
I'm just throwing stuff out there.
I don't really like her character.
She's made for brains, not for bronze. That's what I think. I mean.
But sometimes it's the brainy villains that get further than the brawn.
Yeah, that's why the villains, like the ultimate evil guys, are usually more.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like
well, I mean, I have a good like Twitter question that it was: do you think that Daddy Merlyn was telling the truth when he was beating the crap out of Oliver, saying, you know, the guy that wrote the list wants you dead?
Yes.
Do you think there's someone else, or is it him?
I thought it was him.
I thought it
by
was
the
him,
end of it, I thought it was him. But then after we see that he was the Dark Archer at the end, is there someone else?
I think that, you know, he is pretty much almost on top of the food chain, and he might have wrote it. But now I'm thinking, you know, that we'll end up discovering that there's someone else even more powerful once he's defeated.
Because at the end he talks about, I want this city to be a certain way. You'll see when it becomes my way, I'll feel like a sense of accomplishment. I.
Sure,
so
but
I wonder if.
But what is your way?
And
that
might be just
off camera. But what is your way exactly?
It might be
but
just.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I wonder if he is like the one where it is his way, or if someone is telling him and he's just kind of taking, you know, kind of like the face of this bad organization.
Maybe he's like, maybe there's someone on top of him that he totally agrees with him. He's like, I want that too. So that's why he's saying I, you know.
I don't know. There can only be one king, so.
What do you guys think? This is off. Well, guess I'll.
No. It's okay.
What do you guys think will happen with Yao Fei? Do you think that he'll?
I like him.
Back?
I love Byron Man, by the way.
Yeah. No, I don't think he's done. I think he might have gotten captured for a second, but I think we're gonna see kind of Oliver kind of get it together and hopefully come back and rescue him.
There has to be a backstory with him,
Yeah.
with that casting. Byron Man was Ryu on Street Fighters, and I had the biggest crush on him ever since. So it was amazing to see him back.
Yeah, so I don't think we've seen the last of him. I think he's gonna be back. So. We'll see.
Why don't we give everybody our Twitter handles so they can tweet us some more, give us some more questions we can bring to the table next week. I'm Alikona Bradford. You can find me at Kiss My Passport, or you can find me on Facebook and Tumblr under Alikona Bradford.
And I am Kaori Takee. You can tweet me at KAORIOUS and hit up the Arrow Afterblog and leave some comments for us.
Yes, and you can tweet me at Kellie with an IEO79. I always have my iPad, so you can tweet live with us here.
Great
also,
idea.
Follow us at AfterBuzz TV, and the Afterblog is up, so please check it out, leave comments, and always download and rate and comment on iTunes, because we want to be number one today. We want
Numero uno, por favor. I don't speak Spanish, just for that.
We're multilingual up in this cast.
So thanks so much for hanging out, and we'll see you guys in January.
January 16th.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.